Hello, friends. Welcome to Political. Today, we're going to be talking yet again about voter fraud. Thousands more ballots have been found in Georgia, all from heavy Trump areas, all that were somehow miraculously uncounted. In addition to this, the Trump campaign have put forth the funds necessary for a partial recount in Wisconsin. He's paid $3 million, and the recount will now apparently go ahead. But yet still, in the mainstream media, all you see when it comes to voter fraud are descriptions of it as unsubstantiated or lacking evidence. On Twitter, you see every claim about voter fraud appear with a little notice saying that it's false. I don't know about you guys, but I get the feeling that a ball really has started to roll here, and we're now seeing real movement towards repairing that broken election result. A big welcome to you if it's your first time watching this video, and a big welcome if you're a returning viewer too. We hope you're all well, and might I just very quickly please remind you to leave a like if you like the content, subscribe if you haven't already, and tell us your opinion on the voter fraud in the comment section below. All those things help us get our video out there to other YouTubers, other viewers just like yourself, and help us grow our community. We'd really appreciate it, and thank you very much. And as always, our resident newsmaster, Yayan, has been digging deep into the mainstream media, and he's found a few articles for you.
Quite a rabbit hole, the mainstream media. You can often get lost and confused and feel like you're being gaslighted, and you're just like, I don't know what's going on anymore. And even on Fox News. But we've got this quickly before we jump onto the Georgia. Let's just take a quick look at what is going on in Wisconsin. So the Trump campaign said Wednesday it is spending $3 million in Wisconsin to file for a partial recount in the state, claiming illegally altered absentee ballots and illegal advice given by government officials allowed Wisconsin voter ID laws to be circumvented. The campaign is expected to file a petition for a recount in Milwaukee and Dane counties on Wednesday, claiming that the Wisconsin Elections Commission directed Wisconsin municipal clerks to illegally alter incomplete absentee ballots contrary to Wisconsin law, and said that clerks were instructed that they could rely on their own personal knowledge or unspecified lists or databases at his or her disposal to add missing information to returned absentee ballots. According to Wisconsin law, incomplete absentee ballots may not be counted, and the Trump campaign said Wednesday that clerks issued absentee ballots to voters in Wisconsin without requiring an application, which they say is in direct conflict with Wisconsin absentee voting safeguards. So, we talked about this a few days ago. We were sort of talking about, okay, the pathway for Trump victory, it's Georgia, Arizona, Wisconsin. Those are the three closest states. And if he flips all of them back, then it's basically a tie. It goes to the state legislators, and they are majority controlled by Republicans. So he could potentially win through that route. But the recount in Wisconsin, we said that there was this law that you could get the recount if you put the money up front, and obviously rather than doing the full recount, they're just doing it in the two sort of heavy Democrat strongholds and hoping that they can find enough fraud there to flip it. But I think the important thing is this is coming out of the GOP's back pocket. It's their checkbook. So if they're committing to this to spend $3 million, I mean, it's no small amount of money. They must be fairly confident about the situation, I would think, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't just throw $3 million away on a long shot, do you? Okay, $3 million is $3 million. It might not seem like much anymore, but it is. So that says to me, and I think it's pretty clear to everybody right now, that they do believe there is something substantial in Wisconsin. Obviously, they know something that hasn't quite emerged yet. Because if you genuinely believed, as has been plastered all over the mainstream media, that voter fraud doesn't exist and there is nothing, well, why would you bother spending $3 million? It's very clear. I think we're going to see something. I think we're going to see something big. Whether it's enough to flip the state, I don't know. Okay, we're going to be following that. We're going to be making sure we're analyzing that. But got good things to come, haven't we?
Yeah, certainly. Just to add, I think Wisconsin is the closest state in terms of percentage, maybe not on like net votes or whatever, but like in terms of the actual percentage of the difference at 20,000. So it seems that this is probably one of the most likely states. And I guess if they're paying for the recount, they get to, observe it as well, right? So they can challenge a lot of these ballots. They're looking for specifically ballots that weren't completed properly. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see on this one. I imagine that will start soon if it goes ahead. So we'll look forward to that. It sounds like you said that them winning these little battles and there's a ball rolling. It seems they're going in the right direction. So, and then we've got this other one from Georgia. Really, again, incredible news after what we saw yesterday. Another 3,000 ballots have been unaccounted for again in Trump counties, in Republican counties. So more than 3,000 uncounted ballots turned up in Georgia as the state is conducting an audit of the 2020 election. As the hand tallying continues, officials in Fayette County unearthed 2,755 ballots that had not been included in the original count. There was an issue where we noticed that there were more people on the absentee ballot filed for voting in person in Fayette County than there was in actual reporting. Georgia election official Gabriel Sterling said, according to Fox 5 Atlanta, it was discovered today for certain because of the audit we found this. Sterling said the problem was a result of several individuals not following the proper procedure. An additional 284 ballots were found in Walton County. The local board of electors chair, Laurie Wood, told the Walton Tribune the problem was due to votes being previously unloaded from only one of the two ballot scanners in the precinct. Wow. You've got literally two ballot scanners and you forget to upload from one of them. Like, it's incredible, isn't it? It's hard to think that it's a mistake. It really is hard to think it's a mistake. It's all happening in the Republican areas. And I've got a quick video to play for you, if I may. This is a lady, Heather Mullins, who I believe was observing the recount in the audit in Georgia, and she recorded this. This is in Fayette County when they're trying to figure out. You can see there's a gentleman there in the back, sat down in a chair. He works for Dominion, and he's troubleshooting the issue to figure out why the votes weren't being counted. This is what they're saying. Listen to this.
Print it out.
Do we have a reason, explanation why those votes?
I don't think.
So there's no like concrete, just to get it on the record, there's no concrete explanation as to how those 2,700 votes were not counted by the machine in the first place?
We don't know. I mean, we can't, they're not in there anywhere. We don't know why they didn't get scanned in there.
So have the Dominion tech guys that have been troubleshooting here all day been able to figure out why they weren't in there?
But I don't know. They're not allowed to comment.
They're not allowed to comment.
So, quite incredible. They've been sat there all day trying to figure it out. They've got these tech guys from Dominion looking into the scanning machines and trying to figure out. And they're just like completely stumped. Like, yeah, we don't actually know. I mean, that's incredible. That's incredible. They don't know. They've been sat there like trying to figure it out, and they don't know. How much don't they know in other counties on other machines? Like, it just really, everything I see just lowers my confidence more and more in this whole process.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you ever needed a personification of just what the hell is going on, it's that, isn't it? When you've got these guys stood around with this gormless look on their faces going, we don't know. Like, and, you know, they're starting to panic a bit, you know, they're turning a bit red. It's kind of that. You know, obviously things are going wrong. They're going very wrong. And they're going very wrong everywhere, aren't they? Because we're approaching 10,000 votes found in Georgia now. We're not quite there yet, but we're approaching 10,000 votes that have been missed or miscounted, all of which appear to be in Trump counties. And yet you still look in the mainstream media and they've moved on from the issue and they're talking about President-elect Biden and they're talking about the transition team. Hold on a minute, you know, let's circle back. Let's circle back to this, because just look at this chaos. And when you think 30 states use Dominion voting machines, you're actually going to tell me that this sort of chaos and this sort of cock-up is limited only to Georgia? What makes Georgia so special? I just find all of this to be a lot more coincidental for me to believe that it's actually a coincidence. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think as well, like you say, what's so special about Georgia? That's the one state that's doing a full recount. So I imagine if we saw similar things going on in other states, we're going to unearth similar issues. And it's funny because They talked about, oh, listen, we've got to count every vote. That's what you heard from the Democrats, but then resisting this idea that to investigate and do audits and do recounts. And we're doing the recounts, and we're now finding more votes and more votes that should have been counted are now being counted. So when you're talking about, the sanctity of the vote and the right to vote, and how, yes, every legal vote should be counted and every person, should have their vote tabulated because that's their right. Well, hold on. Like, if we just didn't do this and we listened to all of those in the media and the left and said, oh, okay, no, we'll accept the results of the election, we're not going to do this recount, we're not going to investigate, then that's, like you say, like approaching, it was like 6,000 or something odd votes right now. 6,000 people whose right to vote has now been fulfilled. They've been franchised, who weren't before. That's no small number. And that's just what we've seen so far. That we're going to get, I think they're going to finish up doing the votes in Georgia by this evening. So obviously we'll know, probably by like early tomorrow morning or something, what's actually happened. Is there going to be more cases of this going on? But the reality is as well, even with these newfound votes that have been reported, we've still seen videos of observers inside watching the recount, and they're not even doing the recount properly. So it's just every single time more information props up, it just raises more questions, and then people will just get more concerned and have more distrust in the whole operation.
Yeah, I mean, is it any surprise that I saw in Breitbart today that 52% of Republicans think that President Trump won the election fair and square? And when you're talking about over half of the opposition, as it would be, believing that their candidate won the election, their candidate isn't in power, that rips societies and civilizations apart. It's a very scary time. We're going to be pressing, as always, to have this investigated. But I think, unless you have anything to add,
No, that's it for now, I believe.
Okay, well, if I could just remind all of you again, thank you so much. I want to remind you of our appreciation for tuning into us, for sticking with us. There's been many of you who've been with us since the beginning, so thank you so much for that. Please do subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a like if you like the content, and tell us what you think of the content too.